Hello pen friends, Bri here from Chatterley Luxuries, and today we are doing something special, a Chatterley Heritage Spotlight. We're going to go back in time to the early 1900s and take a look at this, the Montblanc Goliath No. 12 safety fountain pen. In the early 1900s, Montblanc was really carving out a place for itself in history. They were making fountain pens for people to use. They were not being made to collect. And so that's why this pen is really considered a grail because of its sheer size. Pens like this were not ordered very often because you were not going to be able to use this as an everyday pen. When you compare it to flagship pens of the time, the Goliath used the safety filling system. This was the top of the line filling system of the time. It was really cutting edge. So you would pour ink directly into the barrel with an eyedropper right in there, and as you can see, it would hold an enormous amount of ink. The pen is massive. When you were ready to write, you would extend the nib like so, and the corks inside here would keep the ink from pouring out. So if you turn this like this while that was open, your ink would pour right out. One of my favorite parts is inside the cap here, there's a little metal rod, and I'll unscrew the blind cap to show you here. This little rod right here would keep the nib from being bent if you accidentally extended the nib while the cap was on. So how it would work was, when you extend the nib, if the cap was on, that little metal rod would go down that channel right here and stop it. That way the point of the nib will not hit the cap. Very, very cool design. Compared here, you can see the 139 nib compared to the number 12 nib. Here's the pen compared to a modern 149, which is not a small pen by any stretch. Just to give you an idea, the massive size of this pen. At the time these were made, they were not made to be collectibles. In fact, most people didn't want pens this large. Even today, actually, a pen this large is not for everyone. It's a massive pen and not great for a lot of people for everyday use. So people were not as big then. They were not as tall. They were not as big. And so these pens were not made a lot. And so because of that fact, a lot of them have not made it. We're talking 100+ years of going through generation to generation. I mean, it has to be really taken care of. Look, these pens are very sturdy. This pen is over 100 years old. I hope I look this great at 100 years old. But they were still taken care of and cherished. That's why you don't see a lot of number 12 Montblancs out there, because they just were not bought that much. And now it makes it even more collectible and more rare today because of that. It becomes a true grail. The pen has become a true grail because of its rarity. So much so that in 2014, they released a 1914, which was a follow-up to this pen. Montblanc actually did a limited edition. 2 versions, one black and one orange. This clip is not a period correct clip. This is a modern clip made by Tom Westerrich, so shout out to Tom for making this awesome sterling silver clip. This is a true period correct Montblanc clip. They did make some similar to this, but these are the clips that you see that are more often seen as the original clips. Few pens, both vintage and modern, capture Montblanc's heritage quite like the Montblanc No. 12. It's oversized, it's ingenious, and it's a true cornerstone of Montblanc history. Thank you so much for joining us on this Heritage Spotlight from Chatterley. Until next time.